Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is the end of October. It is actually Halloween day that I'm recording this. It won't go up till Tuesday, but I decided to put on my costume. We are hosting a Halloween party in about 4 hours and talk about the books that I read in October. Most of the books that I read this month count for the 50 book reading challenge since I am still trying to finish that. I don't know that I'll be able to finish it by the end of the year, but I am gonna try. This is gonna be a short one because I actually only have 4 books this month, but I'm gonna just go through it as quickly as I can. The first book that I read in October was Broken Homes, which is book 4, yes, in the Rivers of London series. And this is the sad one. I got really sad at the end of it, but it's still, I love the series, and I will be going on to a reread of Foxglove Summer, which is the 5th one, which I actually read earlier this year, so I might put that off just a little bit because I have a lot of other stuff that I need to get through. But it was really nice going back through the series because it turns out that there was a lot of stuff. When I read Foxglove Summer, I was aware that I was missing a lot of things because I'd forgotten so much of it because I hadn't read the books in a long time. So it was really nice to go back and remember a lot of these characters and situations that I had just completely forgotten about. The next book on here is You Deserve a Drink by Mamrie Hart. I used this for the memoir category of the 50 book reading challenge. If you don't know who Mamrie Hart is, she runs the You Deserve a Drink channel on YouTube, which is a comedy channel where she makes different drinks and they're all filled with puns, etc. And I think that her channel is a lot of fun, so I decided to check out her memoir, even though memoirs aren't usually my thing. And I really liked that one. I think that she was really smart about it, which is that she didn't try to tell her life chronologically, because she tells it in a series of anecdotes. And some of them are funnier than others. The goal of them all is to be funny. You know, some of them I actually just broke down laughing at, and some of them I just thought were, you know, kind of okay. But I think that that's fine, and I think that it works, and I think that it was really smart to not try to tell your life chronologically, because that's actually sometimes the least interesting way to tell it. And also generally my problem with memoirs is that people get too wrapped up in trying to tell their own narrative and project their own image of themselves for it to really come across as a compelling story, and also they tend to try to have some kind of message at the end, and there wasn't really any kind of message at the end of this one. It was just funny stories, and I think that that is actually part of what made me enjoy it, was that it was just a collection of funny stories. The next book on here is Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. This is a graphic novel. I only have read volume 1 so far. I really liked the art in this. I don't know that the story is the most compelling for me personally. I'm not totally sure if I'm gonna keep reading it or not, but it is about a couple who are on opposite sides of this huge intergalactic war, and it begins with the birth of their daughter, and so they are basically on the run from both sides because neither side wants this union to happen. And it's actually narrated from the baby's perspective in like a retrospect where she's telling her own life story, which I think is kind of funny because you don't usually get that kind of perspective. It does make me a little bit worried for her parents though. The baby is a girl named Hazel. I'm a little concerned that her parents are not gonna make it through the story alive. We will see, but I do find them pretty charming. Marco is the guy, and he basically, when he became a father, decided to become a pacifist, and I have forgotten the mother's name. Alana, apparently. Marco is somewhat soft and a little bit more caring. Alana is a little bit more foul-mouthed and sarcastic and stuff, and so I think that they work really well as a couple. I think it's really amusing to watch their interactions. The series is pretty violent, so I am a little bit iffy on it. In violence in graphic novels, I think is often a little bit harder for me just because it is so visual and so visceral. And there's a lot of sexual violence, and the category that I fit for this one for the 50 book reading challenge was a banned book. It was banned, I believe, for sexual content, which I don't think that books should be banned personally. I think that people should be able to decide what they want to read for themselves. If you don't want to read something, just don't read it. You don't have to then ban it so that other people can't read it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. The art, like I said, was really good. I enjoyed the couple interactions, but because of the violence and stuff, I don't know that I'll be continuing with the series. I might. And then the last book is a book that I did on ebook, so I don't have the physical copy, but I will try to put a picture of the cover here, which is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. I used it for the category of a book that is being turned into a movie because the movie Pan was recently released. I did not see the movie. By all accounts, it was not very good, but I had also just never read Peter Pan and had always kind of meant to. It was turned into a movie also a few years ago. I don't remember who was in it, but I watched that one and I did like that one, so it was one of those things that I'd been meaning to get around to. It was an odd reading experience, if I'm honest. It was pretty racist, which I had sort of known was gonna be there because there are Native American characters in this and they are basically just straight up stereotypes. There's no real getting around that. You know, he's constantly calling them savages and they're not real people, they're not real characters. There is no research done into actual tribal traditions or anything like that. They're just caricatures. It was also weirdly disturbing. Like, I was not totally prepared for how creepy Peter is because he's basically sociopathic. Like, he is very, very forgetful and very dismissive, and he turns this into this, it's almost malicious. Like, they're flying to Neverland and it takes them several days, and so the kids start to fall asleep, and when they fall asleep they start to drop down towards the water, and he will like dive down and save them, but it's always at the last minute. And Wendy has a line about how she thinks that he was doing it more to prove his own cleverness than to actually save them, which is, you know, kind of unsettling. And then there's a line when he's talking about the Lost Boys, which is that when there got to be too many of them, Peter would thin them out. I don't know what that means. I don't really want to know what that means. He's also extremely capricious, and all of the Lost Boys are just like catering to his every whim, and they all get really nervous and scared when he gets angry, and it's just clearly a really unhealthy situation. So that was really weird. And then you get to the end of the book, and suddenly his forgetfulness turns really melancholy and really sad. I think the difference is because when you're viewing it from the inside, it's scary because his forgetfulness and capriciousness directly affects you, but viewed from the outside, it's actually kind of sad because he can't remember people. Like, he shows up and he doesn't realize that he's been gone for years. He thought he's only been gone for 1 year. And then he comes back like many, many years later, and Wendy has a daughter named Jane, and he thinks that it's Wendy because he has no real concept of the passage of time. And it almost kind of felt like someone with, you know, Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that. And so it had this weird twist at the end where it went from feeling very unsettling to feeling, it was difficult to necessarily feel sympathy for him because he is kind of a tyrant, but there was this sort of undercurrent of, this is actually a really sad thing. You know, this inability to grow up and to remember people. So yeah, it was a very strange read. It was a very quick read. You know, it's not a long book by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, it was very strange. So that is it for the books that I read in October. This is a little bit shorter video than usual because I have to go prepare for the party, and also I just didn't get a chance to read a ton this month. I've had a very busy month. Obviously, NaNoWriMo is coming up next month. If you saw my last video, you'll know that I am going to be attempting NaNoWriMo, so I am not sure how regular these videos are going to be or how much time I'm going to have to read since I'm going to be writing a lot, but we'll see how the month goes, and I will hopefully see you guys soon with another video. Thanks for watching. Bye!